Good evening. We have Jasraj Singh Hallan, the newly announced Shadow Minister for Finance and Middle Class, handpicked by Pierre Poilievre, the new leader for Conservative Party. Welcome, Jasraj Singh Hallan, to the show.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really humbled to be on your show.
And congratulations on being elected as the Shadow Minister for Finance, which is supposed to be one of the major portfolio for a party and for an election, because Pierre Poilievre, every time he used to attack with the wording "just inflation." Can you please explain what is that meant for the Canadians?
Well, let me just first start off by saying I'm very thankful to God, my family, the amazing people of Calgary Forest Lawn, and our new leader, Pierre Poilievre, for giving me this huge responsibility. Just inflation is a term to talk about the inflation that was caused by Justin Trudeau. So when too much money is chasing too few goods, that's inflation. That's just inflation. And that's what we see. We see the government who is continuing to print money and borrow money at an alarming rate and using it on either pet projects or putting it to where they're not supposed to. What's happening is it's driving up the inflation, and this is caused by Justin Trudeau. So we call it just inflation, and it's harming Canadians and it's hurting newcomers alike.
So I think it's your great responsibility now to take a step back or take actions against that inflation. What are your plans? What are your immediate goals, being a shadow minister who will be handling this portfolio?
Look, we've been very clear, and we've been fighting for Canadians for no new taxes, don't raise taxes. This is not the time to make Canadians suffer even more. We need to tackle this just inflation, tackle the debt, and more importantly, on the other side of things, we need to make sure that we're promoting our industries, whether it's manufacturing, agriculture, or our energy industry. We need to be doing the most we can. Under Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, the opposite is happening. They keep raising taxes. They're going to raise the payroll tax on January the 1st. They're going to raise by tripling the carbon tax on Canadians coming up next year. We have a costly coalition of the NDP and the Liberals together. This marriage of convenience, this marriage of expense is hurting Canadians, and it's making people not want to even come to Canada anymore. They're also at the same time kicking down our major industries. They're kicking down our farmers, the people who produce our food. They're kicking down the people who produce our energy. Our energy sector is being kicked down. My home province of Alberta has continually been kicked down by the Prime Minister. And so we need to have a Prime Minister that's going to unify people, unify sectors, provinces, and make sure they're standing up for Canadians, newcomers, and Canada's economy at the same time.
When you speak about opposing carbon tax, don't you have a responsibility for the next generation or the future regarding climatic change? What is your take on that?
So if you look at the Justin Trudeau's carbon tax, first of all, they broke their own promise from 2015 and said that we were going to implement this carbon tax and we would not make it more than $50 a ton. They're going to triple that on April the 1st and make it $170 a ton. So they already broke that promise. What else has been broken? Ever since they've introduced this carbon tax, emissions have been going up. The Liberal government has also not met a single emission reduction target to date. Yet they keep continuing to punishing the people making our food, making it more expensive for people to drive to work, drive their kids to school, drive their kids to sports, filling up their tank. Your home heating has gone up. And why? Just because of an ideology that isn't working today. We do have a responsibility to take care of future generations. But that also includes the debt that Justin Trudeau is putting on generations from even ours. And if he wants to talk about the environment, Canada has the best standards when it comes to our energy sector. Our energy sector knows how to reduce emissions, and they will. Pipelines reduce emissions. Pipelines are a safe way to get our product to market. And we need to create good, sustainable jobs. Good, clean, responsible energy needs to go out. Right now, Canada is getting 130,000 liters of barrels of oil from dictator countries where there are no environmental standards and there's no standards for women or children in those areas as well, or persecuted minorities. Yet Justin Trudeau doesn't want to sell our clean, responsible energy to the world. We can replace Putin's dirty oil and other dirty dictator oil. Canada has every means to do it. But Justin Trudeau continues to kick down our economy and kick down Canadians. And we need a prime minister like Poilievre, Pierre Poilievre, that will stand up for our economy.
Being the shadow minister for finance and middle class, what are your plans and what are your dreams for those people, like the middle class people of Canada?
Our leader, Pierre Poilievre, has been very clear. The same opportunities that me and my family had when we immigrated here and lived in a rough growing up, the same humble beginnings that our leader, Pierre Poilievre, had, being a born and bred Albertan and Calgarian who was adopted at a young age, who grew up the same way I did. We both had opportunities given to us by God and this great country to be able to be successful today. But under Justin Trudeau, newcomers and Canadians don't see that same success. Number one thing is we need to make sure every single person in this country that wants to live here or is living here should be able to be successful with the fruits of their own labor. But today, because of Justin Trudeau, the harder work people are doing, the less they're getting out of it because of that. Because of Justin Trudeau kicking down our economy and Canadians, we will cancel the carbon tax that is doing nothing for our environment. We will put more money back into Canadians' pockets. We will make sure that we're getting useless bills out of the way that are stopping our economy from growing. We want Canadian kids and youth who are graduating from the field in Canada to be able to know that they can get a job in their field when they graduate here in Canada. When newcomers come to Canada, we want to make sure that we have a good system that they'll be able to do the job that they want to do, that their skills will be able to be transferred over. So we have many plans, and we will tackle this deficit. We will get rid of just inflation, and we will make sure that we will put Canadians first, because we on the Conservative side, we know how hard of a time Canadians are having right now. And me being a small business owner and growing up here in Canada through some of the rough times, I know what it takes to get there, and so does our leader, Pierre Poilievre.
So when you mentioned that your background and Pierre's background, does it mean that Justin Trudeau was born as the son of a prime minister and he doesn't know what the common people are facing? Do you mean something like that?
I very well mean that someone who doesn't have to fill up their own gas tank, that probably hasn't gone grocery shopping, that probably can't tell you how much, atta or flour or potatoes, if that person can't tell you how much those cost today or the increase in price in those, then yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. We understand. We do our own grocery shopping. We have to stay in our communities, and we definitely know the struggles when we go to the grocery store. We know what when we go to the register, but more importantly, the people we talk to at the grocery stores, we know what people are going through.
I know that your family migrated from Dubai when you were 5 years old. Would you mind sharing your family background? How did you move and how you came to politics, and what provoked you to be into politics?
Absolutely, great question. So I was 5 when we moved here from Dubai. My dad was a mechanic, but due to some health concerns, he became a taxi driver here, a very hardworking one. My mom worked multiple jobs just so we could stay afloat. As young as 8 years old, I was delivering papers before I went to school and after school. And the reason for that was because I didn't want to put any extra burden on my parents. We grew up through a really tough time. I was considered an at-risk youth, but again, through the grace of God, my parents' blessings and the community's blessings, I was able to be successful with our hard work. I was able to get an accounting diploma. I went on to run a very successful home building and developing business with some of my partners. But along the way, we were able to give back to other at-risk youth. We had an after-school program that we used to run. We had anywhere from 400 to 600 at-risk youth. And through that, I learned I need to always be giving back. And that's why I'm always supportive of the small businesses. And I know that's why I'm with the Conservative Party, because they're all about keeping the tax rate low for small businesses, because they're the backbone of this economy and they're backbone of their own communities. I ran into a very, very dear friend and a real someone I looked up to like a dear brother, Manmeet Singh Puller, who was the first ever turbaned cabinet minister under the Conservative Party of Alberta. And I would just watch him do so much selfless service, or seva, what we call. And through him, I was really encouraged by him. And one day he called me in 2015 and said, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how much you're making. Drop everything. We need you in politics. And I would not have ever thought of myself as someone that would be here because I don't come from a political family or either. And so, unfortunately, he passed away in 2015, a month after we spoke on the phone, doing seva. He was literally helping someone out of a ditch in a winter storm, and was unfortunately hit by a truck, and he passed away. But his legacy lived on. That man gave so many youth and so many others hope in the political system. So I ran first provincially. I won my first nomination in 2018. I lost in the main election. 6 months later, the federal nomination opened up for this seat, and with God's grace, with the support of so many wonderful people, I won the nomination. And ever since, I've been the very fortunate representative of Calgary for Assam and their voice. So it's been a huge blessing, is what I'll say.
And now you are entrusted with a great responsibility. A few hours before, you were handling the immigration. You were shadowing the immigration ministry. So how good the new immigrants or new families come to Canada if Conservative Party is coming into power?
Look, being an immigrant myself, I will ensure that we have the best immigration system. Under the Liberals, we've seen the worst immigration mismanagement in Canada's history, with the most backlogs. I literally see in front of my face, due to these backlogs, people's divorces happening in front of me, mental health issues increasing, people committing suicide because they don't see that they're going to be able to get together with their families anymore. This is the reality of a mismanaged Liberal backlog that they've created in immigration and bureaucratic mess. Our leader is very clear. We want to have a strong immigration policy and strong immigration, compassionate immigration, orderly and just immigration. We need to make sure, and if we look at Pierre himself, his wife is a Venezuelan refugee. They will always fight for our newcomers and people who are being persecuted around the world. I'm so proud to be under his leadership, and under a Poilievre conservative government, you will see a fixed immigration system that is fair and just for all.
At the same time, I have a complaint against also, like for the Conservative Party. It's a general belief that the Labour Party, the Liberal Party, is with the immigrants and all. So how do you tackle that campaign that the Conservative Party is against immigrants and newcomers or communities?
I think me being a conservative, second of all, being the immigration critic for this country, and third, also now being the finance critic, should easily dispel how false that narrative is that the Liberals have created. When the Liberals can't tackle the racism issue going on in IRCC that's out of control, they refuse to tackle it. That should show you that the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the numbers. They've completely mismanaged immigration. The backlog has never been this high in Canada's history, and it's damaging families, it's damaging our economy, and it's damaging Canada's reputation around the world. So that completely false and wrong negative is proven wrong every day, and I'm living proof of that.
And again, we will just come back to the community-related issues. You know, the India government, especially the Ministry of External Affairs, have warned the Indian community, the Indian origin people here. And what do you think about that? I used to get calls from my friends and my families that what's happening in Canada.
Look, what I'll say is that I have been through a lot of racism in my life growing up here. I use that experience to help mentor other people. I always say this: if you feel you're being threatened or your life is in danger or there's something happening, you need to report that. You need to report that to authorities, or you need to talk to someone if you're afraid. This is what I'll say. I'm laser focused, and so is our party and leader, to make sure we live in a safe environment in Canada. So not getting too much into delving into the foreign affairs side of things, that's what I would say if anyone is feeling threatened or concerned. But we also are seeing in this country a lot of false narratives that are being pushed out too. You just said one yourself, where this stereotype, and this is where a lot of negativity comes into play. I've been labeled many things myself. I have to fight through them. I know that what I'm trying to do is for the betterment of Canada and betterment for other people. So misinformation is also another key area that we see where a lot of damage is being done to Canadians and the Canadian reputation. So I would say it goes hand in hand. We need to tackle both.
Being a responsible president from the official opposition, I just want to ask you one more thing. So that we all know that the relationship with India and Canada is not, up to the mark. what do you think about that? What change we can expect if Conservative Party is coming to power? What change we can expect in India-Canada relationship?
Look, not just India, Canada, but all the relationships around the world with other countries. Justin Trudeau has made Canada a laughing stock of the entire world. Wherever he goes, he comes back either being laughed at or being discredited. So this is very concerning that a leader of a G7 country has no respect around the world, and he's done that to himself. And I will say that we need to build better relations around the world. We need to be more diplomatic on what we do, what we say, how we act with other countries, because we need to remember we are doing it for the betterment of the world and the betterment of Canada. We need to make sure Canada is on the world stage, at the table, being able to stand up for our citizens and our economy. And this means having good diplomatic relations with everyone. We may not have diplomatic relations with everybody. They may not be the best, but we should always try our level best to make sure that we are standing up for what's best for Canada and what's best for the world. That is something that our leader, Pierre Poilievre, is very, very serious about, and he's proven that. Because when he was in this role as well, and when he was in government, this is what they did. They made sure that Canada was the proud nation it was around the world. And that's what we need to get back to, is a responsible government with a responsible leader that cares for our relations around the world.
Jasraj, one quick question. So hundreds of thousands of students are coming from India, and especially from South also. I represent people from the South community. And so what message do you have to tell the student community who wish to be in Canada for a better future?
We wish for you to be here as soon as possible too. We need your talent. We want you to have a better future for yourself in this country. We know you're going to contribute to this country. We know you're going to make this country better and better. Because if we can help immigrants succeed, that's Canada's success at the end of the day. So to the students from anywhere, from the south, north, anywhere, east, west, you are the pillar of a strong economy and for a strong country. So we will do everything we can to continue to hold the Liberal government to account until we have a Conservative Poilievre government. And we will make sure that any person that comes here will know that they can live the Canadian dream and contribute to this country equally as what this country gives back to them.
Okay, thank you, Jasraj, for joining us. That too on a busy day where you were announced as the Shadow Minister for Finance and Middle Class. Is there anything else which you would like to share with our viewers?
I'm just very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity for giving me to get on your show. And I hope that we can continue to work together to help make Canadians' lives better and those that are come here to look for a better future and live the Canadian dream. So thank you.
Thank you, Jasraj. Wish you all the best in your new endeavor.
Take care. Thank you so much.